Hello there, and welcome to RNG for June of 2023, the perpetually latent gay news show that covers all the things in the previous month that you've already heard about, and I give my abysmal takes on it all. Or in this case, the last 2 months because I was out of town when I was supposed to do the last one. So this time, I'll be going over April and May's news, and at the end, I have a pretty nice list of interesting game releases. Oh yeah, I also recently made a top 10 favorite and least favorite JRPG main protagonist video, so go watch it if you haven't yet. So, as I look at the list of topics, this is going to be torture. But I torture myself for your amusement, so strap yourselves in and let's get into it. Starting with, fuck you, EA! God damn it, EA, you had one fucking job. So in case you don't know, I don't buy anything that EA makes. I don't like any of their games, I don't like the way they do business, and I don't like just how generally anti-consumer they are. But there was one game series that could have been an exception for me, and that's American McGee's Alice. In case you don't know, American McGee's Alice only has 2 games in it, one that released a long time ago and one that released on the 7th generation. And American McGee himself was teasing or hinting at making a 3rd game for quite a while now, but EA rejected the idea back in April. There goes any hope of me ever giving EA any money ever again, just saying. But seriously, if you want to try the first 2 Alice games, go pick up a used copy. Don't give EA any money for it, unless they change their minds and decide to release the 3rd game, I guess. Moving on, we have Capcom. Capcom's been taking some real W's lately, and the Resident Evil 4 remake was one of them. A lot of people really like it, but leave it to Capcom to be Capcom and patch in pay-to-win DLC into a single-player game after launch, after all the reviews already came out, and after they already got everybody's money. Well, looks like they haven't changed all that much over the years, but they do know how to make a good game, that's for sure. I just really hope they don't pull this bullshit with Dragon's Dogma 2 when it comes out, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. Speaking of patched in bullshit, we have Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters. This game came out in February, I think, but the game is getting censored now of all times, and not for the reasons you might think. They're actually patching out a lot of curse words, and the reason for this seems to be that Idea Factory didn't send the proper materials to the ESRB before the game came out, because original copies of the game don't have language warnings on there. It's still really dumb because everything in this game isn't outside what you'd usually expect from a rated T game anyway. So this story isn't really that big of a deal because you could just play the game without updating it. On the other hand, we have NISA. Once again engaging in their own bullshittery and censoring their own flagship series on Twitter. But not just Twitter, oh no. They censor the artwork for their own flagship series on their own goddamn website. At this point it's just objective reality that this company is a bunch of liars because they said that they don't censor their games, but obviously they do. If you ask me, I consider cover art to be part of the game itself. And Disgaea 6 did this too. They snuck it in, and I didn't even notice until just recently. And they're doing it again for Disgaea 7 as well. Don't believe them. Moving on, we had an interesting game called Unrecord drop a trailer recently. The first time I saw this, I was like, wait, what the fuck? This is gameplay? This looks stressful as hell. I don't want to play this, but I kinda do at the same time. But of course, considering the type of game that it is, it ignited some really, really dumb controversy on the internet because people can't just let things exist, I guess. It's the same old video games cause violence argument coming up yet again. It's all being framed in a different way, of course, as you can see here, but it all leads to the same place. More censorship, more regulation, more dumbing everything down for the lowest common denominator. Fuck all of these people.
There is no middle finger big enough.
I hope this game is successful. And now it's time for our regularly scheduled program. Let's all laugh at Activision Blizzard again. This time, Blizzard's pandering to China seems to be blowing up in their face because they're being sued by the Chinese. Basically what happened is that when Blizzard pulled out of China, they said that they would refund their Chinese players, but they never did. And now they're being fined $43 million by the Chinese court. Then they canceled Overwatch 2's PvE mode, something that they've been advertising for quite a long time, since the game was revealed actually. And fans are not happy about it. But this guy from PC World called it a bait and switch, which is a really interesting take to think about. And I'll add to that by saying anyone who was excited for this game got what they deserved.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Oh, and then there was the news that Blizzard's own investigators confirmed 29 incidents of harassment and discrimination in the company. But don't worry, guys. There's a new gay character coming. Man, these journalists would overlook a nuclear holocaust if it meant getting another gay or trans character, just saying.
Confusion of the highest order!
Blizzard, stay in the dumpster fire where you belong. So, there were some pretty big game releases recently, and, well, what a disaster some of them have been. First we had The Last of Us Part 1 PC port, and... well, a picture is just worth 1,000 words, let's just say. Then we had Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and the PC port was absolutely horrendous for most people. Lots of bugs, performance issues, and crashes ruining the experience for a lot of people. And the game even forces you to be online and check in to play a single fucking player game. So when EA's service goes offline, a lot of people weren't able to play it. Just an all-around disaster PC game. And then there was Redfall, a game that's been hyped up by Xbox for quite a while, and it sucked on PC and Xbox. In fact, it just plain sucks. From what I've heard, there's not a lot of redeeming qualities to it. But even then, that wasn't the worst thing that came out in the past 2 months. Oh no, a game that literally nobody asked for. Lord of the Rings Gollum.
I never asked for this.
Which is probably going to end up being the worst game of the year, so it looks like Microsoft and Sony lucked out on this one. But going back to Microsoft here for a bit, the Activision Blizzard buyout is still kind of in limbo right now, but Phil Spencer sat down for an interview recently and sounded really defeated about Redfall and the whole Activision Blizzard buyout thing. It was a really bizarre interview, in my opinion, that probably doesn't instill a lot of confidence in Xbox owners, especially considering that there's an Xbox showcase coming up soon. This could mean that they don't really have a lot to show, which wouldn't be out of character for Xbox, just saying, but, well, if for some reason you have high expectations for this thing and think it's going to be an absolute banger, you can go and watch it in theaters.
I'm frustrated that the human race is doomed.
Gamers are the only consumer that would go and pay to watch commercials. I swear. It's no wonder this industry seems to be in a constant downward spiral. But I guess there was one W that Xbox got these past 2 months, and it was the PlayStation Showcase, of all things. So basically what the PlayStation Showcase was just a bunch of CG trailers for a bunch of games that were coming to PlayStation, and pretty much every other platform. Because only like 3 of the games shown there were exclusives, and 2 of them were games we already knew about. So, yeah, that was pretty unimpressive if you ask me, but then Xbox put out this banger of a tweet right after the showcase.
Wow, what do you say after that one? Brutal, savage, wrecked, absolutely taken down.
Hey, Talos Principle 2 was announced, so I have something to look forward to at least. Well, at least the PlayStation fanboy salt that came out of this showcase was extremely entertaining. Oh yeah, there was also a showcase by Marvelous, and, well, I don't give a shit. If this was like 3 years ago and before I played Rune Factory 5, I would have been all over this, but fuck. That game pissed me off so badly. And even though I love the Rune Factory series, I have no excitement whatsoever for Rune Factory 6. But I guess we'll wait and see how it turns out. Oh yeah, there was also some other game that came out last month. It was some unknown indie game that nobody's probably heard about called Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But for some reason, game journalists are having a normal one about it, so there's that.
It's time to stop!
Well, in more lighthearted news, apparently there was a $250,000 Candy Crush tournament, which is like, holy fuck, that's a lot of money. And I didn't even know Candy Crush tournaments even existed. But there was one gamer mom who actually entered the tournament without even knowing it, and was dominating pretty much everybody, and ended up in the semi-finals. Just imagine that happening for any other type of gaming tournament. Everyone's gathered around beating the crap out of each other in Street Fighter or Smash or something, and then someone's mom comes in and just destroys everyone and gets all the way to the semifinals. That would just be a truly epic gamer moment, just saying. Oh, and speaking of Smash, we have another funny Salt moment to look at. Take a look at this one.
He's just looking for it. Oh my god. Hit the axe.
Good get up.
Yes!
And there it is.
And the controller slam from ZD! He gets it! Ah!
Squid Plumber.
Let's go,
by
Squid!
the grace of God, finds the grab and F throw from the roll up.
2 control throws in a week from ZD.
Good get up.
Yes!
That's right, the dude literally became a stage hazard and threw his controller towards the crowd. Shout out to Hungrybox for making me aware of this story. Naturally, he got banned for this, and this guy's had a history of being quite salty whenever he loses, so it's probably for the best.
Let's go, Squid Plumber!
He's crazy.
Let's go, Squid Plumber!
And that wraps up the news for the past 2 months that I've been loosely paying attention to. So let's go over some releases. In case you missed it, there was a Sonic game that released this year actually, and it's called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's just a short free game that they released for April Fool's Day, and you can still get it for free if you want. So if you missed out, there you go. On May 3rd, we had Zelda Maker. Actually, it's called Super Dungeon Maker, but it might as well be Zelda Maker because Nintendo refuses to make that for some reason. No, the Link's Awakening one didn't count. That one was trash. Just saying. But if you feel like making the ultimate dungeon to troll your friends with, here you go. Next, we have Idle Showdown, a free fighting game featuring a bunch of Hololive characters. This is a fan game, so it's probably going to be free forever, as far as I can tell, unless Hololive decides to take it down, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But if fighting games aren't your jam, there's also a free Vampire Survivors style game called Holocure. You can get that for free on itch.io, and there will be a Steam version coming soon, I think. On May 23rd, we have a game called After Us. I believe this game was first revealed in a PlayStation showcase a while back, and I remember it being the only game in that showcase that actually interested me. Looks like one of those chill, stylized adventure puzzle games that you play for like 4 hours and then you move on, but maybe it'll be better. Something about the art style of this game just really draws me in for some reason. Next we have Panic in Sweetsland, a 2D action platformer featuring cute waifus that you play because it has cute waifus. Weebs are easy to please, aren't they? But it does actually look pretty fun, not gonna lie. And it wouldn't be an RNG video of mine if it didn't have a Metroidvania game in the release list. This time we have Candle Knight, a Metroidvania in 2.5D, with a haunted castle theme, meaning it was made just for me. On June 5th, we had Tiny Thor, a very detailed pixel art platformer that's very reminiscent of the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era. It reminded me quite a lot of Kid Chameleon when I first saw it, so if you were a fan of that game or games like it, you should definitely check this one out. On June 15th, we have Park Beyond, a new theme park simulation game, which is something we haven't seen for a while, or at least not in any significant way. And this one's being published by Bandai Namco of all people. I'm a little skeptical about it based on the footage that I've seen, but we'll have to wait and see if it's any good. It still won't be better than Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but nothing will ever be. And on June 21st, we have a game that I am pretty stoked for, despite it being in a genre that I'm not that familiar with or play a lot of. Trepang 2, a very brutal and action-packed first-person shooter with some absolutely insane music to go along with it. If you're an FPS gamer, you should definitely be keeping your eye on this one. On June 22nd, we have Dr. Fetus's Mean Meat Machine, And just looking at it, it's pretty easy to tell what this game was inspired by. The Steam page doesn't have a release date yet, but it was just announced right before I made this video, so we'll see. And for the last 2 games, we have 2 games that are coming into early access, which means that I'm breaking my rule. I normally don't talk about early access games, like at all, at least until the full release comes out. But we have 2 very interesting games, both coming on June 22nd. The first being a game called Forever Skies. Something about this game looks like it would be an absolute crack addiction for me. Yeah, it's a base building survival game, but it has a theme that just really makes me want to get lost in its world. Of course, I won't even be touching it until the full release comes out, but I will be keeping an eye on it. The second early access game is one that I'm bringing up just because of how noteworthy it is. 6 Days in Fallujah. This one's been in development hell for quite a while, so it's kind of disappointing to see it release in early access first, but I'm really interested to see in how this game plays out, especially considering all the people that don't want it to exist, just like with that Unrecord game. And I hope for all the crap that the developers have gone through over the years that this game is successful at the end of the day. But only time will tell. Oh yeah, there was also that no-name indie game Zelda Tears of the Kingdom that came out on May 12th, but nobody cares about that. It's probably the worst game ever made. Just saying.
Lick my balls.
And there we go, that wraps up the news for the last 2 months. Holy crap. I hope you enjoyed all my incessant rambling on these topics, and the torment of my soul dying every time I have to read all this stuff that happens in this godforsaken industry. More importantly, if you like what I do here, feel free to check out my top 10 videos, especially my top 40 favorite game soundtracks and my most recent one, top 10 favorite and least favorite JRPG main protagonists. Those are the videos that I put the most time and effort into, so I'd appreciate it if you check those out. Give them a like, share them around, or you can give this video a like and share it around if you want. Either way, I appreciate you. Also follow me on Twitter, Rumble, and Odyssey if you want. And as always, have high standards, low expectations.